Don't know if I wear the hat or no hat. Hat or no hat. I kind of don't really know where to go with this right now. Hi, it's June 24th, 2025. It's currently 1:42 in the morning as I'm recording this. So pretty much situationships and the frustrations that come along with those things. It is definitely something that is super on the fence for sure, I could tell you that. For those who aren't familiar with what a situationship is, you might be a little bit too young. The short version, at least my version of a situationship, is a situationship is when two people are more than friends, not a relationship, not a couple, but kind of in that middle ground where they are romantically involved or intimate even, and there isn't much more of a deeper level to that, either by rule that they created or they just chose not to proceed more than that. So you can just see it as like friends are here, situationship here, and then official couple right here, I guess. But obviously that's a very loose umbrella term, so don't go with my example because there's actually like different kinds of tiers for everything. That's the most simplest way I can really put it out there. Situationships can honestly drive you crazy sometimes, or they can really infatuate you for a good while. I have had situationships before in my life, some by choice, others kind of against my will. And what I mean by that is that I was not looking for a situationship, but found myself in one. And when I want to proceed into doing things further than that, I couldn't because I was stuck there. They're not meant for everyone. They're more so when you kind of just want to have fun, but you don't want to get romantically involved, or really you just kind of want a bit no strings attached kind of thing. And I've been on both ends of that. I have been on the end where I wanted something more than that, and I've also been on the other end where I didn't want anything more than that. And most important thing at the end of the day is making that clear communication on what exactly you two want, and if you guys even want to progress further than that. That is definitely a conversation that is meant to be had. With most modern dating now, the dating pool is pretty awful actually. It's really horrendous. I won't even lie to you. It's bad. I think I actually started using dating apps around February. It's June right now, so like around 4 months of that. I was on Hinge, I was on Tinder, I was on Bumble. I did try personality dating app. Don't remember the name of that, but it was like pretty dead on there, so it didn't work out. I just got into a situationship actually, not too long ago, super recent actually, about 2 weeks. Like it's super recent for me. I was seeing this girl for about 2-ish months. Things were going really well, honestly, at first. But there were some red flags that I honestly should have, I guess, really kind of upheld myself more into taking action of walking away, but I didn't. My biggest failure when it comes to those kinds of things is that I kind of have that I can fix the mentality, or if I say long enough and they'll change your mind, don't do that. That is basically Tom from 500 Days of Summer, and you don't want to do that. For some context and backstory, in the time that we were seeing each other, we went on 4 dates. Early on, we talked about what we were looking for. They told me they were just kind of going with the flow, and I told them that I was looking for something more long-term and more serious. I was super upfront about it, and I also told myself that this is the first time I'm actually seeing someone like this consistently. Let me not take it too seriously until we actually reach that point. So in the first beginning part of that situationship, that's all it is. It's casual. It isn't until we have a conversation on our 3rd date about what exactly we were looking for. She basically brought in the what are we conversation with me, so that way it actually established that those ground rules of what we were actually looking for, what we were searching for, and what we wanted like long term in the future afterwards. We both agreed that we were working towards a relationship, so I was like, okay, cool, that works for me, you know. Good to know. But later on, after the 4th date, we do plan to have a 5th date, but that 5th date never comes. With this person, they were very, I guess, distant in some sense. What I mean by that is that in terms of texting, they weren't really a great texter. There'd be times where I would be ghosted for days at a time, and I have spoken about this before in previous videos because I was actually kind of going a little bit crazy. Sorry, not literally. But those were just things that I just chalked up to swallowed my pride and just let it be. I never pressured them about that or questioned them or anything like that in that case. But ultimately, I get the ball dropped on me a few days later that they wanted space. I gave them space, and I was kind of having mixed feelings about it. but I did tell them to let me know that they wanted space. So I couldn't really be upset about it. That's the way it was. A few more days later, I get a text where they ask if we could talk in person. So the day after, we do end up talking in person. And ultimately, the conversation just came around to that I deserve someone better, and that they just lost interest, essentially. It was something that just kind of super sudden on me, and I just had to be okay with that, which does suck, but again, I just have to be okay with it because that's just how it is. I feel like a lot of my feelings were pretty much just mishandled, and I do believe that it was let on to a certain extent. We did talk about how we didn't want to 500 days of summer each other, and to me, I did feel like that did happen to me. I had the assumption, and I could be wrong on this, but I had the assumption and the idea that after that conversation that we were taking each other seriously. So that's the way I decided to treat it. I decided to treat it more seriously, decided to treat it less casual, especially if I saw myself being with this person. So I did end up developing feelings and everything. I wasn't in love. No, that's not what I meant. It's more so I just felt more of a stronger connection towards this person. But long story short, the conversation happened, things ended, and I did have some questions that I ended up asking them. It didn't really help, at least with what I wanted to. Pretty much a lot of it just got summed up in, I quote, people can lose interest and that's okay. That's just the reality of dating. Hearing that did kind of feel like a slap to the face, just a little bit. But I wasn't angry. I was just kind of more disappointed, really. Not so in them, but I guess more so in myself for not choosing to, I guess, leave sooner. It pretty much just kind of messed with me for a little bit, and it wasn't a situation where I missed the person. I'm okay. It became a situation where I feel more scared and more hesitant into the next time I find myself in a similar position where I do end up talking to someone and I do like them, because that constant fear of wondering if I'm doing too much or too little or not enough or just doing everything wrong in their perspective, that basically just all plays into my head. I can proudly say that I know I put in effort, and I can proudly say that I did the best that I could to my ability, and that I shouldn't be too hard on myself. And I don't mean to say that in a way where I can't take accountability, because I've had a lot of screw ups in the past, and I've had to learn really hard from those, and trust me, I did. But it just became one of those situations where I just had to suck up everything and just kind of be okay. You know, I was seeing someone for 2 months, and then I had to add them on everything in that same night, just because I knew I would not be comfortable see them on anything. I guess it kind of sounds pathetic, but I guess I was hoping that they would care about me just a little bit, and I realized that they don't. And you can't force it on people, and I didn't do that either. I told myself that if someone can be perfectly fine without you for days on end and not feel any type of change by that, then that's pretty much all the closure you need sometimes. I've accepted that I just was not that person for them, and they clearly were not that person for me. I'm just constantly worried that from here on end that I will either find myself into heaps of situationships before I finally find something that actually works for me. Finally deleted dating apps, like completely. I used to just keep them on pause. I deleted all my accounts so that way I wouldn't have to just press the unpause button and then I'm back on Hinge, because then I'll have to make the account from scratch. I'll get lazy, and then I just won't feel it. I told myself that from here on end, I would only meet people organically, and that's what I was trying to do before. But even still, I just get worried about that stuff, and it's really frustrating. I feel like as a person, and I mean this in general, I feel like you should not actively be looking to date with people, or at least match people who are actively looking for something serious, if you're still trying to figure your own stuff out. You should really take your time into knowing exactly what you want, or making it super clear at the very front, because I'm not here to shame people on what they choose to do. That's literally your choice. Everyone has freedom of will. All that stuff is fine. It's just communication is super important, vital for that, you know? Just make sure you do it with the right people who actually are looking for those things. I just realized that I can't do casual. I've tried it. It's not for me. I've learned that I want to be loved and not lusted. Learning that I want to be loved and not lusted like really changes everything for me, especially because I don't want to be more than just a physical human body to someone. I want to be more than that. I want to be more than that. At the end of the day, there is only so much you can do when it comes to being in those things. If you are currently in a situationship, all I can do is just wish you the best of luck. And I don't mean to say that in a negative way. It literally all depends on the experience that you have with the other person. Communication is important. You just have to be cautious sometimes. Modern online dating is super repetitive now and super annoying even. For me personally, I feel like when it comes to only talking online but never actually seeing each other in person, it could be really tricky, especially for that first meetup, because you end up raising your expectations super high and you set yourself up for a big chance of being disappointed or a big chance for failure. And that's not to say that happens on every single situation, because obviously it doesn't. People clearly have had great experiences where they just ended up working out perfectly, and then those things do happen. I'm not saying that they don't happen. Those are just more prone to keep in mind for it, because as much as I would love to everything to be, you know, rainbows and cupcakes, you always need to have that possibility, or really accept the possibility that everything can go south at any given point in time. You just have to be aware of that. You don't have to be prepared for it. You never have to be prepared for those things. You can be. However, it's just accepting that. I'm at the point where I do feel tired and I do feel fatigue of dating overall, and even just told myself to just give myself a break, and that if someone does come along my way that does interest me and things actually do go well, awesome, great. I will gladly go for it, chase for it. However, I'm not going on a dating app anymore. I'm sick and tired of it. I'm so really sick and tired of it. I think at the end of the day, the most important thing I can really tell you is to just not settle for less, especially when you're stuck in a position where you know you could be doing better and that you know that you could be treated better as well. You just have to learn and accept that you don't have to settle for those things, especially when you know they should be reciprocated towards you. Everyone loves differently, everyone handles those things differently. There's no right or incorrect way to love someone or admire someone, and that's kind of the beauty of it. For me personally though, I can't do another situationship. I can't. I can't. It is super draining for me. It makes me feel self-cautious and insecure, and it kind of drives me crazy. More than I like to admit that it does. It's yeah, it's a lot. So I hope that there is a day where I wanted to worry about those things and be cool and comfortable about it. I just don't know when the day will be yet, but really those things will come at you when you least expect it, and that's just kind of the truth. Hopefully they like Chainsaw Man too. Off topic, dude, I love Chainsaw Man so much. I'm gonna see the movie in Japan when it releases. I'm not trying to sound like one of those otaku dudes right now, especially like that picture. You know exactly what picture I'm talking about. Anytime I mention Japan, I feel exactly like this. I promise you, this is not me. I just really like Chainsaw Man. I literally have a Chainsaw Man tattoo. I have a Chainsaw Man figures. I just really like Chainsaw Man, dude. I'm sorry. There is that person out there for me. And who knows, dude? I can literally meet them tomorrow. I can meet them at my job. I can meet them on my trip. That's pretty much all I gotta say. Just try not to be too hard on yourselves. And I hope my frustrations and experience can somewhat be some kind of clarity for those who are in similar situations. Until next time.